What is going on, everybody? It is episode 663 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis actors. It's Mary, and once again, we have Wesley joining us. How long has it been?
It's been a while. Glad to be back.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
It has been too long.
It's good to have you back. We don't see people much these days.
You guys are like hermited.
We're trying to, have some social interaction once in a while.
I walk in and okay, so here's the thing. I was going to make a joke that you walk in and a tumbleweed goes across, but actually what's happening is like now, because I'm guessing because there's nobody walking around outside regularly, the deer have encroached heavily on the space. Yep. So like every day I show up and there's deer just hanging out in the backyard. And
they were always bold.
They're bolder now, though, I think. So
this is their territory.
They're out and about. But yes, it is good to have you, my friend. We don't get to see you very much.
Yeah. No, good to be back.
Got any updates?
Any updates
on your project?
On my project. So, which one? Cast Castle is just kind of like waiting right now.
Oh, okay.
We are the problem with it is like nobody's really over here, as Tim has said, but doesn't mean we don't still like the project and want to do stuff with it when we can. And Aaron and I have moved pretty much full time onto Boonies, and there's a lot more there with that project since we actually work at a skate park, and yeah, it's just very draining in the sense of like you put all your ideas into something and then be like, okay, now we've got 5 minutes to think about the other thing we do, So it's not like I get a lot of DMs from people being like, when's the next Cast Castle? And it's like,
yeah, because the cast and the castle split up.
Yeah, it's not a castle anymore.
Yeah. So like we've got ideas.
I mean, you could just take the moniker, kind of like whatever president or whatever plane the president is Air Force One. Wherever you guys are is the castle.
No, but we totally BTFO you guys because we passed Cast Castle in subscriber count recently. Congrats. So suck on that.
Sucks to suck, doesn't it, guys?
We're actually at 128. We're getting a huge boost in subscribers right now.
Yeah,
so that's great.
I think it was that video of you talking about the Pokemon thing.
Was it that?
Yeah, I think it was that one, the short. Okay. That was doing really well. By the way, guys, if you do watch the lives, you should check out the shorts. And if for some reason you're normally watching the shorts, you should check out the lives and the segments. Don't just watch the short. Don't be me, who goes onto YouTube and just turns into brain rot immediately and watches nothing but pointless short form content now. My brain has been officially pancaked and destroyed. I watch short form content about like weird mini soccer games. I don't play soccer. I've never played soccer. I don't even like soccer. And for some reason, I watch a whole crap ton of it today. That and tons of gunsmithing content that is just no bearing on my day-to-day life. But the short-form content gets you. So go and check out the long-form videos as well. And we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. But before we get started, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. As Mary just said, we have passed 128,000 subscribers. So thank you guys all so much for that. And remember to share the videos out with your friends and your family, your loved ones, the people you like, the people you don't like. Maybe you have somebody you've had like a lifelong vendetta against. Go and share it with him or her or they and let them know that you like this channel, and maybe they'll hate watch it, or if they're a friend, they'll watch it because they know that you like it. It is the best way to help channels like ours grow, is to share the content out, guys. And remember, all super chats $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion and we will read those super chats right then and there. One thing we don't have the option to do here, at least I don't, is like you go on streams with other people, and especially if it's at night, they like drink every time there's like a 20 or a 50. We can't do that here. So, we just have to read it and answer your questions coherently. That's the reward for...
We try,
yes,
at least.
You do.
Don't always make it, but...
We rely on Mary for coherency here, not me.
That's worrying.
we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. One, it's the return of pop culture conspiracies. The conspiracy being that, is Jim Carrey, in fact, Joe Biden? Or is Joe Biden Jim Carrey? I can't keep him straight. A lot of people are surmising that perhaps Jim Carrey is actually operating as a double for Joe Biden. I don't know why that would... I mean, do you really need a double to go to the ice cream store. I'm not sure. But we're going to talk about that because Mary found some very interesting videos about this, and it's a fun conspiracy to begin with. I can already see the people right now. This is the America we live in now where
the
people
world
believe
is a stage.
it is. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about famed actor James Woods, who was essentially censored. He was a producer on the movie Oppenheimer, something that I clocked immediately when we were watching the opening credits. I was like, huh. James Woods produced this movie. It's because he bought the rights to the book that the movie was based upon. And they were saying that when that movie was coming out and when they were doing its press junket and then later when it was going up for Oscar noms, could you please be quiet about this? Because you're a Trump supporter and we don't like your kind around here. So we're gonna talk about that. We're also going to talk about Creepy Coppola.
Not Sofia Coppola. Her dad,
Yes,
Francis Ford Coppola, has been accused of GROPEolas.
He's not perverted, he's Italian.
Yeah, he's Italian. He has been accused of GROPEola-ing on set against the female extras. So we're going to get into all of that mess.
We got that. We got a bunch of other stuff to get into. So if you guys are ready, we will just get started. Mary, you ready?
I'm ready.
Wesley?
Ready?
He says yes. All right. First things first, this is kind of interesting. So we talked about 2 weeks ago, I think, about the Reagan movie that's coming out, a week or two. Well, there's going to be an exclusive premiere coming up, and the invitees are across the political spectrum, which I found to be kind of cool. So Biden, Trump, Harris, and RFK Jr. all looking to be in attendance, and it's at the, what is it, the JFK? It's at the library?
The Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in California.
Perfect.
I was at first saying maybe we should try to go to this.
She
and then
said
you were
this
like,
to me. I'm like,
the Secret Service is going to be pretty selective.
I was like, when she said that, I was like, wow, like you just shoot for the stars, aren't you? Like that's bold that you think that we're going to get into that.
You appreciated my
premiere.
audacity.
I did. I was like, that's bold. But I do like the idea of reaching across the political aisle and inviting people from all political walks of life to go there because as they've advertised this movie, it is a bipartisan film and it doesn't take a stance one way or the other.
I'm not sure that that's going to be true. Like, you'd have to actually give it a watch to know for sure.
Depends on how, yeah.
But Dennis Quaid is playing Ronald Reagan in the movie, and he said, everybody should really take a side during this election and be willing to talk, Republican or Democrat. Pick a side and vote, and then let's get on with it. And then he said of the movie, it's emblematic of the way I wish we could be like, that we can still be, to get back to working together as Americans.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen.
No, not in the age of the internet. I mean, I don't even know if it was necessarily true before. I just think that the lack of direct communication made that seem like a facade that actually passed. I don't know if it was ever actually, maybe that's just the doomerist in me, but I don't know if it was ever actually that great. I think you just didn't have contact with as many people as you do now outside of your sphere of influence. Meaning,
true, but it's also you're right, but it's more of like you weren't rewarded for acting that way.
That's true. Like,
so
yeah,
like
there was no benefit.
You're like,
to it.
like yes, I disagree with this person, but whatever. I know them better than anybody who's you know,
Right.
and so now you have like this much larger online friend community that rewards you for treating somebody that you directly know poorly.
If you started an argument at Thanksgiving, everyone would just think you're an a-hole. But now you can tweet about the fact that you did that and get a bunch of pats on the back for it.
I was telling you the other. I heard this. I heard stories from like craft circles. I'm not in craft circles, but I know people that are in craft circles, saying that they have stickers that you can buy that say "divorce your Republican husband." But when somebody asked why don't you have "divorce your Democrat husband," they got very upset at that. Shocking, right?
You were saying that Karlin Borsenko was talking about the
knitting
radical
circles.
Left knitting circles.
Back in like 2018, or like maybe even before
like it's
that.
easy to believe that that's a thing.
Yeah.
I just would have never thought of it.
It's
before
where the
someone brought it up.
awfuls. It's where the awfuls congregate.
Yeah. Who created the knitting graffiti thing?
What is that? I don't.
You know how people like knit sweaters on public benches and things, like trees?
I didn't know
stuff
that
like
was
that.
a thing.
Yeah, you've never seen that?
No, I'm an uncultured swine apparently. They literally knit.
They knit like fully like knit over a public bench or a tree or something.
If I saw
or
that,
a lamppost.
If I saw that, the first thing I think of is like, doesn't anybody have a job anymore? Like, don't you have to go to work?
No.
Like, you know what it is? It's like, don't
it's
you?
Called yarn bombing.
Yarn bombing.
guerrilla knitting or yarn storming.
So it's like they weren't any good at actual graffiti with spray paint, and they're like, but I am quite crafty.
Well, it doesn't leave a permanent mark.
That's true. That's true. So that's what's going to happen at the next protest. Somebody's going to put like free Gaza and like a thing outside of a...
No doubt they already have. I'm sure.
A big watermelon.
Yep.
A big knitted watermelon outside of, yeah, I believe it. So, guys, look, this movie being something that they're promoting to all audiences and not just something that should be partisan does speak to a time that I think a lot of people kind of yearn for in a lot of ways. And one of the best ways to try and get back to that, though I would say I would agree with you that, you know, that's a genie that can't be put back in the bottle, would be to go and support a movie like this and let people know how you feel about it. So we'll have to wait and see if we get those tickets to rub elbows with Biden, Harris, and Trump, and maybe there'd be a great thing, like we get sat between them.
Yeah, of course. We're important.
On the other side,
we deserve it.
Trump's on this side and Biden's on this side, and RFK's right between us.
Yeah. I don't think they like that we call our fans crisis actors.
Yeah, I don't think that works for them.
It's not going to go over well.
You're going to need to tell everybody what's going on with the Taylor Swift massacre.
Yeah, we stated this kind of sensationally in the title today, but it is a true story. 3 children were just killed at a Taylor Swift themed dance class by some maniac wielding a knife. They found he was 17 years old, and he viciously attacked a group of children and adults at this Taylor Swift themed dance class in the UK in Southport. Taylor Swift posted a public statement in response on her Instagram saying, "The horror of yesterday's attack in Southport is washing over me continuously, and I'm just completely in shock. The loss of life and innocence, the horrendous trauma inflicted on everyone who was there, the families and first responders. These were just little kids at a dance class. I'm at a complete loss for how to ever convey my sympathies to these families." Which, you know, is a perfectly acceptable statement. I thought it was a little strange that she posted this in a very stylized font that fits her aesthetic.
Yeah.
But, you know,
was she one of those
probably
people,
was designed by somebody else.
Was she one of the ones that was guilty of like putting 3 black squares up so that it didn't ruin the aesthetic of her page?
Did she?
I have no idea.
I don't remember.
I'm asking the question.
I try to block out that period of time, but
I don't blame you.
What's more insane is the way that some people responded to Taylor Swift's post. One person said, "Sorry, but a lot of kids were killed in Palestine too." Another one said, "No, because when I say all celebrities are evil, I mean all. Girly has been silent about Palestine, Sudan, Haiti, and the Congo, but only spoke when it's about her. Sick and twisted."
It's literally the definition of like staying in your lane and only focusing on, you know, that which actually involves you. I mean, you could even make the argument that a celebrity doesn't even have a need to respond to something like this if they don't feel it's necessary to do so.
Yeah, people were also judging her response to when that fan of hers died at a concert in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
That was last year. Pretty
and then
recent.
She donated the money to to the family or whatever.
And then Ariana Grande's reaction to the Manchester terrorist attack at her concert as well. But another one of the responses from a Swiftie said, "At Taylor Nation, at Taylor Swift, I'm sure we're all aware of the horrible news from Southport. And I think the children who experienced this horrendous act of violence deserve tickets to see Taylor when she returns to London this August for the Eras Tour. Can we make this happen?"
You know what that is? It's a little bit like you've entered a bubble that's so severe that you don't realize how bad this... If Taylor Swift was like reached out and what she offered was tickets, it would... If you put that in a movie, it would be seen as comedy.
It's just like...
It's so tone deaf.
Yeah, it's extremely tone deaf.
A bunch of people died. Here's some tickets to my concert.
Right. Like,
make sure to stop by the merch table on the way out.
There's nothing you could offer like the parents of these children that would make it okay. It's especially not like listening to the same music that you were listening to when this happened in front of you.
You get killed in a McDonald's parking lot and they give you gift cards.
That's crazy.
Like... That's I think that's just part of being in the bubble, like where to her, I'm assuming this is a her, that would actually be something worth it, right? But to the family of those who lost someone, that doesn't make any sense.
Mean anything.
And to the families of those who were just injured, that pretty much doesn't mean anything either. That's a unbelievably traumatic event, and I think there's more that could be done, but I don't even know if it's necessarily it would be good for her publicity to respond and to do something about it. But anytime you enter this type of public arena, you're going to be criticized for not doing it a specific way. And nobody loves that more than the people saying that you should actually be also caring about the Congo and Palestine. And
you have to release a statement on literally every humanitarian crisis, every tragedy, but you also can never say the right thing, but also silence is violence. So you have to say something. And no response is correct. So I would sympathize with her if she decided to just step back and not say anything. Yeah, I don't know. But another weird thing that people pointed out about this is that they said that the investigation found it was not terror related.
Okay.
One person responded to that saying, if you're going to a Taylor Swift themed children's dance event with a knife, it's a very specific demographic you're targeting. We really need to think about how we define terror in this country.
What do they mean by that? Like, I'm confused. Like,
I guess that they ascertained somehow that the attacker wasn't motivated by terror.
Wait, is that supposed to be like, if he had a bomb, it would be about terrorism? But since he had a knife, it's not?
There have been plenty of knife attacks in the UK, obviously, and terror-related ones as well. Well, I don't know how they make a decision like that.
One very, very effective tactic of terrorism is to make people afraid to go out and do things that they would normally otherwise enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid that you're going to go to your Taylor Swift themed dance party with your kids and you don't want to because there's a knife wielding maniac, that would be a very good way to stop people from participating in everyday life.
I'm sure they felt plenty terrorized by it.
Taylor Swift will need what it is? She's going to fund AI that's going to spit out all of the conflicts that are going on in the world and the appropriate responses based on current public sentiment, benefits to her career, length of statement.
For all we know, the statement she released was generated by AI. We have no idea.
Could have been. Someday, Wesley, you're going to have to release a statement because somebody's going to fall and get hurt, and you're going to have to, at the park, and you have to be like, guys, I'm really, really sorry that happened, but it's bad. Yeah.
It's just a really sad story.
It is. It's really sad.
Yeah.
I don't know what her response will be, but again, I wouldn't envy being a celebrity in a position like this where it's like every day. Or I guess it's kind of the byproduct of being a global brand is like you have to have an opinion on stuff like this, even if it doesn't directly affect you. So, all right, let's move on then. So yesterday, guys, we talked to you about the return of the Russo brothers and Robert Downey Jr. to Marvel. Well, today it has been learned that the Russo brothers are going to make quite a bit of money, and Robert Downey Jr., of course, is going to make even more than that. The Russo brothers looking to take in $80 million to direct the next 2 Avengers movies, and that's before like back-end compensation. Like if they hit the $750 million mark at the theaters, or if they hit the $1 billion mark, they make more than that, right? That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for that. But
back up the money truck to convince them to do this.
But it's not just them. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. is kind of the one that they've bet the horse on once again. And I remember a story. Yeah, I know, right? I remember a story. How do you feel about this? Like, we didn't get your perspective yesterday. You weren't here.
Mixed feelings. I was a huge fan of the MCU until recent years, but I don't know. I think if you're going to do this is an interesting way to do it. And as far as the Russos, I don't see it being like, look how desperate Marvel is. They're not doing hot themselves. Like there are some people that there's basketball. There are basketball players who are great on the 96 Bulls, but then they go to the Portland Trail Blazers and they don't do anything. Yes. So sometimes it's about being in the right space to succeed, having the right sandbox to play in, and they may be those guys. And if this is what they're making, then they've earned that by making more than $2 billion.
Well, they made
movies.
I
don't know what Civil War.
No, I don't.
Is
know
that not
across
a billion?
Because No Way Home did.
No Way Home
they
did.
didn't do it, but they didn't make No Way Home.
But if you're going to signal to your audience that we're going to try and stop making garbage, this is a way to do it.
Well, I mean, given all that money, I would have expected a different facial expression than this, but he doesn't look happy.
Which one is this?
I don't know if that's Joe or Anthony Russo, but whichever one it is, he doesn't look excited. Like he's like, I'm back.
No,
just
this is a sobering moment.
Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
Yeah, this is a record scratch. You're probably wondering how I got here.
Yeah, and they posted this meme from The Simpsons. They drove a dump truck full of money to my house. I'm not made of stone.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see, but I'm a little bit more skeptical of it. Like just because the Russos are also not doing it that great, just because The Gray Man didn't light the box office. Well, it's not even the box office. Didn't light Netflix on fire, and because Citadel was garbage doesn't mean that they need Marvel right now. But I would say that Marvel did need them in a way.
I would say they do, because it might not even be about money for them. I mean, the money helps, but like, imagine being like a filmmaker who made the 2 biggest films of all time.
I just think
like that feeling of like everybody is like on your.
Everything you do after that is a disappointment.
Yeah, or just like if you do make it, because they're like, I believe them, unlike other celebrities who are like, no, I'm a huge comic fan. Yes. I believe these guys when they say it, and I believe that they actually like gave a damn about the product they made. And so connecting and making a $357 million opening weekend movie that people like, most people like it. Like very few people are like, yeah, those sucked, and like being held in regard like that, outdoing the old comic book movie king, Joss Whedon, and like going from You, Me, and Dupree and Community to that has to have some sort of like dopamine effect that you're not going to make with Extraction.
You know how they talk? Well, hey, I love Extraction.
I know, but
they were only producers on that though, right?
I know, but it's still like,
it's the same thing.
Cherry. All those they didn't land in the same way.
The
21 Bridges.
I don't know if anybody actually watched 21 Bridges. Was that the one with Chadwick Boseman? It was like one of his last roles too.
No, it was like 2017. It was it was before. I think it was before Infinity War.
Okay,
so I guess that was 2017.
So I kind of think of it the same way. We've talked about how directing television is very different than directing movies. Television, in a lot of ways, is like plug and play.
Yeah.
I almost think Marvel is a lot in the same way, because they've structured their company in such a way that they don't have the creative freedom that a director has in, outside of specific directors like Sam Raimi, who are given more leeway because he's Sam Raimi.
Yeah. He is the people that would push you around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like it is more plug and play at Marvel. Like that's why they've dumped so many directors that nobody's heard of into movies that don't do well. But at least when you plug and play with these dudes, you know that they're going to.
See, I don't think it is plug and play with them, because I think they were probably part of the brain trust that came up with the outlines. Okay. Same with like Taika Waititi he was not plug and play. He did whatever he wanted, and it failed this time. So he's probably.
He should go back he should just act.
He should just go back to.
I rewatched Free Guy recently. He should just act.
Like make more Hunt for the Wilder People. It's a good movie.
I don't know how I feel about the idea of doing a movie with Robert Downey Jr. as the charismatic bad guy when you don't have any charismatic good guys to play off of him at this time, other than Spider-Man.
None
that are all that meaningful.
I mean, I like Doctor Strange. I think he's pretty good.
So you've got Doctor Strange, but you don't have. Before you had Doctor Strange, you had Spider-Man, you had Captain America, you had Thor, you had Iron Man, you even had Hulk. Depending on how much you
still got Thor.
So you've got these guys, but you don't have Chris Evans, and
you
don't have. But he's not Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
No,
he's not. He's not Chris Evans as Captain America. So you don't have the same. It also means that the spots that would have been Robert Downey Jr. as as Iron Man, and Chris Evans as Captain America will go to like what? Brie Larson, I guess. Just nobody that really matters to the audience.
Speaking of charisma.
Yes. Well, there you go. We'll wait and see. But Robert Downey Jr. said that he wouldn't come back unless the Russo brothers directed it. He didn't want somebody else ruining it for him.
That was his $300 million and
I wonder how much he's
300 alpacas demand for them. Pretty
much. So we'll have to wait and see. He's made like over $500 to $600 million in Marvel movies.
What if they put Johnny Depp in a Marvel movie?
He should have been.
They could never do it, but what if they did that?
Who would you cast Johnny Depp? Johnny Depp as?
Honestly, wouldn't have been a bad Doctor Doom. Would have been bad. I don't know. He could have been. I don't know. It'd have to be something weird and flamboyant.
Gambit.
Gambit, yeah.
They could have had him play Gambit. Yeah. They got what's his name?
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Oh, he posted this really funny picture of him and Ryan Reynolds between 10 years apart at Comic-Cons, and to use your term, holy twink death, it was crazy. Like he, maybe he's just like put on weight for a role or something right now.
Like I didn't coin the phrase, but it's very useful. It wasn't
mine, but it was very useful in that moment. I was like, holy crap, right?
Yeah.
That was the first thing I thought. I was like, dude, they should have let him I don't know.
The first one looked like Friends. The second one looked like he paid $150 for the photo.
He had to pay to be there. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds, and then Ryan Reynolds looks the exact same because he's from the
Canada. Vampire.
There were a lot of Canada jokes in Deadpool too, as well, or in the new Deadpool as well.
Maple syrup is like adrenochrome.
Did you like it?
I did. I don't think it has a lot of rewatch value because the cameos are such a big part of it. But I'll definitely rewatch the opening scene.
Oh yeah,
multiple times.
I enjoyed it. I was like, the story wasn't much, but which I don't want to say it doesn't have to be, because the first two I thought had pretty good.
They
stories.
melded the earnestness of the original stories better in Deadpool 1 and 2, but the earnest storyline in this movie went to Hugh Jackman, went to Wolverine,
which
so
was really good.
But it could have been its own movie. It was Logan in 2017.
It's fine.
No, I loved it a lot, and I had a lot of fun. I do think I posted the boomer meme, the other day of Robert Downey Jr. as Black Panther, and I realized that they really could have done that in Deadpool. If they were going to do it, if they were going to do Robert Downey Jr. as Black Panther, they could have done it. In Deadpool and Wolverine, and just have him appear for a couple of minutes, and have
he would have been Kirk Lazarus. Yes. He would have had to have been Kirk.
He would have had to do the voice. Yeah, it would have been fantastic.
That would have been great. And that's kind of my theory on this.
Yeah,
is that he's not playing a Tony Stark variant. He's playing Victor Von Doom, who's whether it's magic or science, he's trying to fool the world that he's Tony Stark.
We'll have to wait and see.
That's the only, not the only. That is one.
So
very
they believe that
thing.
He's come back from. He makes them believe that he came back.
Yeah,
from
he's
the
like
dead.
Marvel Antichrist.
Okay. Well, we were saying yesterday that Robert Downey Jr. is basically now Marvel Jesus. So that's perfect. All right. And that kind of works too because of how much the character is revered in that world, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
people want to believe.
But it's the opposite of the way that they did the Wolverine thing. I have to say, I agree with you. The opening scene is my favorite scene because that they were writing and they were looking at tweets. They're like, oh, they're exhuming the corpse of, and they're like, let's literally do that. Let's
what if I put one of his ribs corpse in a guy's eye?
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's move on then, shall we? So, as you know, Twisters did itself very well at the box office. Of course, it got kind of slowed down a little bit by Deadpool and Wolverine this past weekend, but the movie is doing very, very well, far beyond what people's initial expectations for it were. And the media is, of course, very, very upset about this because your average New York or LA journalist really just wanted the movie to be full of a bunch of climate change propaganda, and they're even writing articles taking the film to task for not lecturing you or I about the evils of climate change.
Yes, a columnist at the New York Times named Margaret Rankle wrote this scathing op-ed about the director's choice to leave climate change out of the movie, titled "Hollywood's Message to Red States: Our Movies Are For You." How dare they say that? For nearly 2 decades, Hollywood has seemingly missed no opportunity to sound the alarm about climate change, so it was startling when the weather-focused Twisters arrived from Universal this month with no mention of climate change at all. If ever there was a perfect vehicle to carry Hollywood's progressive climate change messaging, a big budget movie about people caught in worsening storm patterns, wasn't this it? Apparently not. Movies should not be about preaching a message, Lee Isaac Chung said in a pre-release interview.
His name is actually now Lee Isaac Chad.
They call this a dog whistle. This was called a dog whistle to conservative ticket buyers.
Did you see that? So basically not just shoving a message in your face is inherently right-wing, which is kind of based.
How revealing, by the way. The thing that we like have a career off saying you do that you say you don't do, you're like, we're really mad that you didn't do this time.
That was the first thing I thought of was like, look, there's nobody that's happier to wield the power of influence than Awfuls. You know, the average affluent white
the laptop
female.
class, if you will.
And the best part is like they're very authoritarian by nature, and you can tell by how upset they are when they normally get their way, and then one time they don't, and they have to write op-eds about it.
They're trying to longhouse Lee Isaac Chung right now. They said studios seem to be heeding a message that many ticket buyers, especially in the center of the country, have been sending for a long time.
You can literally feel her quiver in anxiety and anger as she said that.
Their message: we just want to be entertained, no homework attached. Put bluntly, it amounts to an attempt by Hollywood to bend to red state audiences.
Or audiences.
Yes.
Just audiences.
Well, not just that, but also like what they leave out in this is the people who complain about these things never admit that they're not the ones funding them. And they're more than happy to waste your money to preach the message. Now, for the last 5 to 10 years, Hollywood seems to have been more than okay with wasting their own money.
Listen, this lady has a point. How dare these giant entertainment companies dare to entertain?
It's crazy.
Well, they noted that even Bob Iger has paid lip service, at least, to the concept of not messaging in their films. We have to entertain first. It's not about messages. I don't really want to tolerate the opposite, is what he said. But that's not true when it comes to Disney. I mean, if that's a directive, it certainly hasn't taken place yet.
The thing that's funny
everybody gets mad about Bob Iger, and like a particular friend of the show has said, like, you know, Chapek was the conservative. It's like, but he got 10 times worse under him.
Yeah.
Like Disney became like just a megaphone under him. And like, I didn't see that under Iger. So I don't understand why. I mean, I guess they're saying that he's not that, but like the anger that I see, at least from the right-wing YouTube, is that like Iger's causing this, but I don't see that. I don't see that. I see him more, as they're saying, like being kind of withdrawn from that approach.
One thing that's interesting about the people who write articles like this is it's always the ones who want to like weaponize empathy, you know, like weaponize art for a good cause. It's the worst type too, because it's like when they say like it's better to live under robber barons. Like this lady will spend every corporation's money endlessly to make sure that you get forced to watch movies about climate change. She won't make her own short film about it. No.
It's funny how she's backseat driving the people who are actually in charge of making the art.
Well, it's funny because like that's our job, right? But we're here to critique the movies as they were. And if there is a political message in a movie, I will critique it. And most of the time, I don't find, at least in films, the big budget movies, it's not as noticeable as it is in television shows where it seems to be infinitely more noticeable. The article references like Batman mentioning climate change. I think back to the line that Idris Elba does in Hobbs and Shaw where he mentions capitalism and climate change, and it was an eye roll in a 2-hour and 50-minute movie about dudes like beating each other up, and I can stomach that because most of the time I'm like, look, you're not going to get the perfect film anyways, and a collaborative effort means that something is going to end up in there. Now there are worse examples. Like I hated the Batman.
Why?
I hated the line that she gave because it destroyed the tone of the movie, because the rest of the dialogue was evergreen, and then all of a sudden you got very, very.
See, I disagree. I thought that line was not like a message to the audience of this is how you should feel. It was literally a line being refuted, and she changed her mind on that.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, but the choice of words themselves were very current year, while the rest of the film doesn't carry a current year look or feel, which completely removes you from what you're watching and says, you are very firmly in the year 2021. This is very clearly about this message. If you had taken the same concept and phrased it differently.
Same sentiment.
Like I say they get rid of the phrase DEI. They never have to say that in a movie. All they have to say is affirmative action. And you're transported back to the 90s.
What was it that she said? It was like powerful white men or something?
Yeah. Like,
or she could have just said like billionaires.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
well, which is inherently more.
There was another element to it because she felt she was thrown away by him because she's not white and she's his daughter, and she felt that was an element when it wasn't an element. The element was just that he's a scumbag, and like that was the lesson she had to learn. And she was also holding it against Bruce Wayne too.
The other thing that was funny,
and I thought that was an interesting thing because she ultimately comes around and was like, oh, it's not that. I had my own preconceived notion that I had to let go of, and there is something there. And I'll agree with you. When the line hit me in the movie, I was like, oh, God.
But then
I was like, okay, if there's a reason for it, it can still be clunky. That's fair.
I also just didn't like the movie in general, but that's just me.
Lot.
I liked it. I liked it less the more I thought about it. It was like the runtime alone was enough to just 2 hours and 50 minutes.
It was super boring and repetitive.
But okay, so
Fincher movies.
The other thing that was funny here was that she lists in the other article, she lists a bunch of movies like movies have been used for a progressive agenda to varying levels of success lately, and she lists exactly one success
Barbie?
and 4 failures. Barbie,
Yeah.
and then she lists The Color Purple, Strange World, The Marvels, Dark Waters, and endless other examples of.
I don't consider Barbie a success.
I mean,
Well,
if
financially,
she's
of course
talking
it was.
financially,
Yes,
she's talking
financially it's a
financially.
success, but it wasn't a success because of that. It was. There's an entire feminist diatribe in it, but people walk out and they're like, anyway, Ken. Like,
Yeah.
You failed.
Yeah.
It goes on. It says it's a reflection of economics and the desperation of the film industry. It shouldn't be desperation that leads you to make movies that the majority of the audience want. Your net zero, like your starting point, should be make movies that audiences want and then go from there. Right?
Well, she also said that it's not a complete winning formula because of Kevin Costner's recent blunder with Horizon, and they quoted Glenn Beck in one of the promos for that movie. Apparently, they featured Glenn Beck saying Kevin Costner may be the only one capable of telling the true American story in one of the promos for that. But obviously, it was a huge financial failure and got taken out of theaters early.
They're like, we already watched Yellowstone. I don't need to see this.
Yeah.
The thing that I find funny about it is like, if movies with heavy politics fail, what that really means is that like nobody saw them, right? So you end up back right where you started, meaning that nobody got your message. You've just ended up back there with less goodwill because the press around it is different, right? So you set yourself back by even trying.
She said Universal's approach to Twisters involved positioning the movie as escapist and fun and studiously avoiding socio-political issues. The last thing Universal wanted was a film that doubled as a climate change scolding, which would likely repel conservative ticket buyers. The chief marketing officer at Universal said, we couldn't afford to overlook any audience.
Told you.
With every decision,
Universal.
it was about how we can include and not exclude.
Universal is the only studio right now when their logo comes up that I don't just wilt in anger and fear that the movie's about to be garbage. Universal hits more than they miss.
I think she's just writing this for an audience that immediately attaches a negative connotation to what he said, but everyone else who's normal reads that and is like, this is great. What are you talking about?
Yep. It's just funny because the ladies who write articles like this, they're kind of trapped by their own neuroticism where they want to see this in a movie, whereas the average person doesn't want their movie-going experience to be a neurotic endeavor to begin with.
Well, we were talking about neurotic millennial women being the target audience for a movie like Inside Out 2, and it's doing incredibly well. But even that, I felt it was weighed down by a mental health awareness agenda.
But the average moviegoer wasn't. The average moviegoer just knows their kids wanted to see it and took their kids to see it, right? So you can have that underlying message, and if it's cloaked in the story well enough, then you can reach a whole new audience while also appealing to the average person who just wants to get their kids out of the house and take them to see a movie. The problem is, in my supposition, is that there's too much content being made. There's only, I think that really, really talented writers are a finite resource, and pairing really, really talented writers with studios that work well with them is even harder to do. So it's kind of like I always say, like, making a movie as difficult as it is, making a really good movie is almost impossible. So to have it happen at all is kind of amazing, but this shouldn't be rocket science. It's a disaster movie.
Well, it wasn't rocket science for decades. I think that Hollywood using their movies and TV shows to propagate socio-political messaging has been a fixture for so long, but they were just better at hiding it.
I don't think it's just that. I think it's that audiences are more aware of it now. So I think one thing that I've noticed is I go back and watch a lot of old movies, and it's there. The difference is you weren't aware of it at the time, so you still look back on it with the fondness you looked at it before.
They also
you were aware of
couched it in like more. So they tried to take. They were successful before when they would artfully communicate universal values. And what they're trying to do now is take those niche values and turn them into universal values. And it's hitting a brick wall. And then we feel so preached at for so long, even things that aren't that offensive feel that way. Just because you're so like raw from the last one. And I wouldn't even say, like when you said like good writers, I wouldn't call the writing on that movie very good.
In general, I was making more of a general
disrespectful.
I was making more of a general statement about Hollywood in general than just that film. Though, I mean, that was the original story for that idea was done by the dude who did Maverick. So
but it's a very simple like thing that we've seen 1,000. Yeah, no, I would agree.
It's why I laugh when people talk about WWE doing like predictable storylines. Predictable doesn't mean bad.
No.
When it's well executed,
it just depends what your end result. If you're making a mystery thriller, it shouldn't be that predictable. But this is like a call to action movie or a camaraderie movie or a overcoming obstacles movie, which are all very universal things that everyone you can like project your own tornado into this movie. And like, what is the thing I
like that
overcoming? Whereas what this person wants is for her tornado dragon to slay to be your dragon to slay, the same as the people who are mad at Taylor Swift because they've got their own thing that they're angry about, and she must also be angry at it. And that's liberalism in a nutshell, everybody. Like, you must share in their misery.
Yeah. Sad.
Me when I'm liberalism in a nutshell. Help! I'm in a nutshell.
So, guys, as it were, go out and support movies like this. If you haven't boycotted Hollywood entirely, you want to send a clear message that these are the types of things that people want to see. They want to see well done movies, and my hope is that Lee Isaac Chad, or that's what I'm going to call him. I'm calling him Chad. I'm not calling him Chung. Lee Isaac Chad.
They're going to call him Lee Isaac Chud.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to make sure that
I'm killing it with the puns today.
Yes, we're going to have to make sure that we push back on that one and he gets Chad and not Chud, because making movies that everybody wants to see seems to be a lost art these days. All right, we got a $20 one there from Pop Culture Junkie.
He said, oddly enough, I think Universal may have learned that I don't see the rest of it.
Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up here. It's I guess that's just
sorry, I just don't have it visible right now.
Got it?
Oh, he said, oddly enough, I think Universal may have learned that cutting out the messaging was a good idea from the success of Minions and Mario.
I mean, I think there were more movies before that, like, for the most part, like when I think of Fast and the Furious movies are movies that don't have a message and
family.
Exactly. Family. Universal theme.
Well, sometimes even without a message, people will latch on to something like calling Princess Peach a girl boss or Furiosa a girl boss.
Like I said, those lines in Hobbs and Shaw, which are Fast and the Furious movies, was a Fast and Furious movie. It's just a throwaway line in there, and if you let that ruin the movie-going experience for you, was it cringy? Yes, absolutely. But I think 20 years ago, they would have just replaced those words with whatever the issue of the day was. The difference is that today everybody really, really cares about the issues of the day, whereas back in the day, when you weren't looking at news 24/7, you didn't have that, that kind of open wound of the annoyingness of media and news information to constantly be rubbed.
Can I make one more comment on Twisters?
Yes.
That since I wasn't on, I don't know if you guys reviewed it on here.
We did.
But my takeaway from it is, at least, I don't know about you guys, but people like me are constantly told that we hate any movie that has girls in it, especially in prominent roles, which I maintain is not true. And Twisters is just another example of that, where the way that this particular character and the characters around it were treated was appropriate. And didn't hate it. It wasn't like, get the handsome hot guy back. Like, I can't believe it unless he punches this storm in the face. And that would
have been awesome.
And punches Kate in the face.
Yeah. No, I mean, but there were people in the comments who were like, Kate is a girl boss. And I was like, at this point, that term doesn't mean anything.
And it's also not true. Like, it was handled like appropriately.
She actually screwed up in the beginning.
Yep.
She then is terrified when she comes back. That's not girl bossing. Is she like a weather whisperer? Sure, but that was a trope in the first one too.
She also didn't do what I would have, if this was in worse hands, it would have been like, do you look what the storm did to this town and how bad that's going to be for my career. It was like, no, it was it was uncynical, even to a point, even to a fault, I would say it was
Nope,
uncynical.
there's no such thing as too uncynical in my opinion. Hollywood should be more syrupy.
Yeah.
They should.
But it handled all of that so well. Like nobody's being like, yeah, I can't watch this movie. Just whatever discount, whatever Emma Roberts or whatever the internet called her.
Is that what they were calling her?
Somebody Roberts. And no, it's fine. Like that doesn't.
Yeah.
People don't hate Ray because girl. They hate it because she could do no wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas this one like literally got her boyfriend and best friends killed.
Also, most of the time,
Because of her hubris.
yes, most of the time, like I don't even care if they're overpowered. Just don't make them a dick to everyone.
Yeah.
like that. That's
Yeah, she
literally
was a little bit cold, but it was because of her trauma.
Callousness. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she messed up in the beginning scene. She messed up when she was storm chasing the first time. He showed her up that time.
Yep.
Then he also saved the day at another point in the movie.
in the pool.
Had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Heart of
It
gold.
wasn't so bad.
Heart of
And
gold like
like,
that, and cheekbones.
Just
My
the,
gosh.
like somebody like called this like movie feminist. I was like, dude,
Yeah, no.
literally like bear hugged her to save her life, and it was like, in one of the most suggestive looking frames on accident.
Yeah.
But I was like, but it like that.
Sometimes people just want to be mad about
I know, but
something.
it
don't know.
undercuts that entire idea. It's like it's like people are getting sucked away, and he's just like
Also
holding on to
true-
it. It's like that's not feminist.
True feminism would have never allowed him to be as forthright as he was and as brash and as overly confident as he was without portraying it in a negative light, which they do not.
No,
So.
they even poke fun of him in a way that is funny. Like when he's like, "This T-shirt's for you," and they're like, "This thing's ugly." Like that's funny.
Yeah.
And it's not like.
But even
You know
they
what I
pull
mean?
back on that when they say that the T-shirts are the money goes to a good cause.
Right.
So yeah, it took all the right steps. So again, guys, Hollywood, it's not rocket science. Make movies about rocket science. You're gonna screw that up too. So let's go ahead and move on. What would you like to
October
see?
Sky, great movie about rocket science.
Cringe or cute of the day?
Wesley, you decide. What comes first?
Hidden Figures. Great movie about rocket science.
Let's
I never saw
start
it.
with cringe so that like the cute can
Okay.
act as medicine.
Cringe first, then.
She told me not to watch this one, guys. Beware. When she prefaces, it means it's probably pretty bad. Here we go.
Things in my house that just make sense, and it's a little bit comical. Part 4. This fucking sink. I don't even know how to feel about it. It's just fucking funny. The pantry door that decided he was done holding on, and I don't blame him. Mouse poop in the drawers on the porch. Did my best to handle the mice, but they're nearly invincible. Here's some more, because it's honestly infinite. Patched up a bunch of rat holes in my house. Y'all, once I found a dead mouse with cockroach uthikas inside of it. Anyways,
Isn't that just Asmongold's room?
This is his house.
they ate the roach gel and the paper that was on it. Here's a hole in the bathroom wall. I'm not sure how it got there, but I will say whoever filled it in was extremely lazy. I know who filled it in. And this is the sink in the kitchen. Don't know how long it's been this way, but it's been this way a long time. And nobody listens when I tell them not to use the water on that side. Our toilet with no top, we have to pull the rod. And by the way, y'all, I am not complaining. Oh, you want to take a bath? Well, let's go turn on the water heater so we can take a bath. And yay, the hot water's ready for our bath. Now we're all clean and fresh. Let's get out of the bath now. And then we have to go back to the water heater, because this is what happens when the water heater is on. Also, occasionally it rains in the house. Had to get a new couch because the old one was so moldy. And here's a video I caught of a mouse stealing my pizza. Thank you for watching. Things in my house.
This is part 4, by the way.
I couldn't believe she didn't blame the landlord somehow.
She owns the house.
Okay, all right, yeah, that was awful. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the one yesterday. Yesterday's was nuclear levels of awful.
I
but-
promise something worse tomorrow.
Okay.
The sad part is what comes to mind to me here is Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
Yeah.
Like she's going to start stealing diamonds and pushing her boss out a window, or the other way around.
That was,
So no rats in the cute of the day, right?
I don't think so. Today.
Okay.
Let's double check here. Let's find out. Nope. I think we had that one. Did we do this one yesterday? No. I'm sorry. It was tagged in the same one as the one the other
Okay.
day. But Sancho, the one-eyed pirate king, is good too.
I love it.
I like it. He's a good boy.
Permanent wink king.
Let's do one more here. Guitarist Gabe says, I have to give my doggo a puppy Percocet when we go on long car rides. This is the result.
Aw.
Yes, he does look like he's gacked out of his mind.
He's happy. He has no complaints.
Oh my gosh. That might be a
He's
puppy
tweaking.
Adderall right there. His eyes are very wide.
He's like, no, I'm fine, officer.
No, nothing happened. It's fine.
Bark the alphabet backwards.
I was telling Mary earlier, I said, you know, when you watch the videos of people getting like sobriety tests, like say the alphabet backwards. I'm like, I couldn't do that sober. Mm-hmm. Mary did like half the alphabet or more.
I paused.
Okay.
Now I'm under pressure, so I can't do it.
TBGL. Got it.
All right, let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? Let's talk about the ultimate conspiracy theory. Is Joe Biden just Jim Carrey in disguise?
Well, it's the other way around.
Is
We
Jim
were
Carrey
arguing
Joe
about the
Biden in
semantics
disguise?
of this
Yes.
earlier. Okay, we're going to go into pop culture conspiracy mode, so put on your tinfoil hats. I think this is a fun one. A TikToker under the name Fittest Flat Earther recently presented the theory that Jim Carrey is playing the role of his life in disguise as Joe Biden. Jim Carrey is Joe Biden's body double.
So you're telling me he's both Vanilla Ice and Joe Biden at the same time?
We got a
And Dr.
20
Robotnik.
Yeah.
from Noah Sanders. He said, Brett and Mary, are y'all going to be at the election show party for IRL? I'm making and bringing seltzers and want suggestions. They're fruit and herb or spice. And Tim said grapefruit ginger. I can do non-alcoholic ones too.
I'll be there with my Kamala Harris 2024 shirt on.
You're with her, bud.
Yeah, I'm with her. I said like the other day that I'm gonna just start ironically telling people I'm voting for Kamala Harris, and then eventually somebody will believe me.
Well, I might just shelter in place on election night, so maybe not.
Unless she chooses Fetterman, then I'm all in.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm a big fan of Fetterman 2024, and if not that, 2028.
But let's consume the brain rot and see what this guy has to say.
So are we watching the drama alert video?
Yes, he has like a full presentation on this, a full PowerPoint for us.
Here we go.
I think maybe, just maybe, we just saw the last of Jim. And I didn't misspeak. I meant Jim Carrey. Because if you don't know, this has been going on for quite a while. And if you're new here or to this theory, I've done a lot of videos on it.
I'm sorry, it's weird. They both simultaneously look absolutely nothing alike, but when they're side by side, it works.
Yeah, I kind of see it now.
So go catch up real quick. But if you're not new here, I'm going to show you how this mask-loving Jim Carrey is just doing his farewell walk. Now, in my opinion, and that's all it ever is my opinion, but I like to give my opinion with evidence. Jim is retiring from this role, and he's moving on to bigger things, which I'll get to in a minute. But I've done this many times before because
they have a similar
create
gait.
things in the past.
He did do the Truman Show after all.
In the future. And did you notice that exact same forward head posture?
Ah.
But I digress. And here is just more evidence that they're the same people. And I've done this many, many, many times where something he does, he's done exactly the same in a movie role. Just like here. Taking his final bow.
It's literally not the same thing.
Behind the curtain to change roles.
Stop bringing us back to reality.
Maybe his biggest role ever. But be not deceived, because Satan, he masquerades as an angel of light. And what bigger father than JC?
Why did he get like buckle fat removal in that picture?
And I'm not talking Jim Carrey, because they've been programming this for a while. And whether it's just mockery of Jesus, or it is like I think, and it's predictive programming of a certain role that guy is going to play real soon, what I highly recommend is that you get your spiritual discernment ready. Because there's something coming. I feel it, and I've been feeling it for a while. Because if you haven't noticed, things seem to be getting revved up. But as always, I know that Hollywood and the government are two completely separate things, never intermingling whatsoever. And Jim Carrey just loves to play all these different roles for Hollywood only. And their faces matching up, mouth, nose, eyes.
They do have similar
It
teeth.
is just a complete coincidence. Nothing to see there. And most people whose faces match up exactly perfect just happen to have the same postures too. That happens all the time. Just like it's also a coincidence that every time Joe has fallen, there's been an exact replica of when Jim has fallen in a movie or on TV.
Can I?
These things happen. It's just how life works.
Oh, the bike fall.
Coincidences happen. Duh.
Okay. There it is.
Please.
Can I offer a critique?
Thank you, guys.
His delivery is not nearly bombastic enough for the content he's making.
It's because he's alerting us to a very sobering reality, Brett.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Like, I mean, no
He's very serious.
No disrespect to the guy.
The fittest flat earther is being very serious right now. I'm looking at his comments. One person
His
said,
hat says ice wall.
one said, "You are correct. It's an actor, but I'm not sure it's Jim Carrey." Another one said, "The Truman Show is one of the best movies ever made." Another one said, "The world is a stage." A lot of people
So who's
are...
Ed Harris in the real world version of the Truman Show?
The world is a stage.
Yeah.
Because it's flat.
Another
Like a
one,
stage.
yeah, exactly.
So you can
Another
literally
one said
exit
that they
stage
think
left off the ice wall.
Ice wall, yeah.
we're gonna talk about James Woods later, but another one thinks James Woods is the actor who is Joe Biden's body double. So there are multiple different theories, but hey, Jim Carrey said that he was gonna retire from movies. He didn't say that he was giving up acting altogether. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Also, Jason Selvig from The Good Liars did a couple of street interviews with Trump supporters who called this years ago. This is back in 2022.
This is this one
Yeah.
right here? Okay, here we go.
You think Biden is not alive right now?
No, the guy that's doing the stand-up job of trying to wake people up is an actor wearing a mask. I mean, there's several different people playing Joe Biden at this point. And then when he fell up the stairs going on the airplane, I myself think that was Jim Carrey. I've heard that he was one of them.
Wait. You think that Jim Carrey was wearing a mask and was the acting president?
And being silly by falling up the stairs 3 different times. And James Woods also, I think, is one of the doppelganger.
Hey, there's James Woods again.
People.
See, here's the thing, guys. Every time, whether it's libs of TikTok on the other side, everyone takes the funniest, most hilarious examples of people saying crazy stuff and then uses that as an example of why America is cooked and then it's the other side's fault. You know? Everybody kind of says that. Everybody blames the other side. But you know what? We're cooked from both sides.
Reality is cooked. You were talking about this earlier.
Yep.
Dumbass knows no political affiliation.
Yeah, it's just like Cringe doesn't.
Yeah.
There was another Trump supporter that he interviewed as well saying the same thing, that Jim Carrey is playing Joe Biden in a very Mission Impossible-esque mask.
Well, yeah, you'd have to rip the mask off after the election. And it'd be crazy is if after Kamala wins, she rips it off and it's still Joe Biden, and it's like you didn't even. This is what you wanted anyways. This is what you voted for me in the primaries for. You just didn't think I could win because I had a bad night during the debate.
I'm not with her. I am her.
The idea.
What's her saying? What's her stupid saying?
Oh, I don't know.
What is unburdened by?
Yeah, what can be unburdened by what has been.
Yeah, it's Joe Biden. That's what it is. That's okay. This one, right? Mm-hmm. All right, here we go.
Biden isn't president. Who is this Joe Biden that we see?
Well, some people say that Jim Carrey's playing him. Yeah, they're saying that, but I don't know.
I would act surprised, but I've actually heard that before.
Yeah, I've actually heard that, so I don't know if that's true or not. That doesn't matter.
It's not true.
It kind of takes over.
I can tell you that for sure. It's not true.
Okay, well, whoever it is, it's not Joe Biden.
So he's very confident that this is
he's
totally
very sure.
made up.
He's very sure of himself.
But interestingly, Jim Carrey actually has played Biden in SNL skits before. He's one of several actors who have played Joe Biden on SNL. And we can take a look at their resemblance here.
Speak directly to the American people.
Is it gonna be weird?
Totally. Here's the deal. Losing control. Where was I?
You said, look, here's the deal.
Oh, right. Look, here's the deal. Nope, lost it. The country's counting.
He has a smile.
To just stand here and look lucid. I'm definitely going to concentrate. I'm going to try to keep my cool. What is that? Where's that coming from? Yeah.
That's pretty accurate.
With the aviators on?
Yeah.
They have different eye shapes, but when you put the aviators on, it's like no one would be able to tell.
Yeah.
And people were saying that Joe Biden seems taller recently than he used to
true,
be.
you know?
Now they're the same height, 6'2".
That's how tall he is, Joe Biden. I mean,
Well, that's how tall Jim Carrey is.
Like Biden just wears lifts in his shoes sometimes and forgets to wear them other
He
times.
has off the rack Lucchese's like DeSantis.
He went to the Ron DeSantis school of shoe shopping.
And back in 2022, Jim Carrey responded to the bizarre claim that he is one of several people playing Joe Biden, just saying, "Oh dear." He didn't deny it.
Isn't Jim Carrey kind of like way too animated and physically present to be Joe Biden?
Well, I mean, he is a celebrated actor for a reason.
Yeah, okay. That could be what it is.
He can take any role he wants.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you're going to hire the guy to play him, wouldn't you hire him to play a more, like, lucid version of him?
This is just a new practice for him. It's a new challenge in his craft.
Look, I imagine that doubles have been used the world over, for world leaders and stuff like that. So it's funnier if it's Jim Carrey, because I want to live in a world where Ace Ventura is also the president of the United States.
What do you think, Wesley? You think this is plausible?
Just because of A Christmas Carol, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was very Biden-esque. Yeah. Spirit.
Are there any other actors that resemble him more closely? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, they only listed James
Crypt
Woods
Keeper?
and Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah. Well, they could remake Tales from the Crypt.
Jim Carrey could play him in a movie.
I mean, that'll happen eventually, right? Like, when that gets made, like, who's going to end up playing him and who's going to end up playing... Well, I guess Sebastian Stan will have to end up playing Trump again down the line. When he gets older, he can play older Trump, too.
Well, look, Jim Carrey is known for method acting, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he took his method acting kind of...
Man on the Moon and...
way too far when he was playing Andy Kaufman. Yeah. He's used to really immersing himself into another person's life story.
Yeah.
So someone commented saying Jim Carrey would absolutely play this role if he was asked to. Not saying he was, but if he was asked to do this, I think he would say yes.
Was he on that White Guys for Harris call yesterday? I have to find out. If he wasn't, then I'm suspicious that maybe that's what he's doing. He's too busy playing Joe Biden to go on the White Guys for Harris call.
Have you seen the movie Dave? No. It's interesting. It's about the president has a stroke and they hire some dentist who looks a lot like him to play him for...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great...
It's written by, or directed by Ivan Reitman.
Okay.
So it's predictive programming, just like he said in the video.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kevin Kline plays the president and the dentist.
That's awesome.
Or the accountant, not dentist. He's an accountant.
I see no reason why. Like, it's not a far-fetched idea. It's only far-fetched that Jim Carrey's doing it. Like,
well,
that's the only part that people would find far-fetched, that there's somebody like that there's a body double for the president.
His face is just too angular.
Yes. Like his jaw, he has a very defined jawline. Like, you could tell when they had him do it in SNL, they filled out his cheeks more.
I've been seeing a lot of videos where people zoom in on Joe Biden's face and his neck, and they're saying that his skin just doesn't look right.
But that's facelifts, right? Like, won't that do it?
All of your stretched back skin is sitting at the
Nancy
back
Pelosi
of your head.
Like, if you took a picture of Nancy Pelosi now and 130 years ago, like, she doesn't look like the same person. I mean, you could tell they're the same person, just like you could tell the photos of Joe Biden where he was 29 but looked 79 were the same person. And like the earlobe difference too. Like, if you're pulling stuff back and changing it, it's gonna change how your skin hooks together.
A lot of people were also saying that the broadcast Joe Biden did to announce officially his withdrawal from the race was a deep fake, because there were certain aspects of that did kind of look uncanny.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just makeup, like the effect of heavy makeup on him and his spray tan and the cameras and lighting, but people were saying it looked like it was faked.
It wasn't live because his watch didn't match the time in which it was supposed to happen. Right? Like,
There's a lot of things that they don't expect you to notice.
Well, you can't get away with that anymore.
Yeah.
In this day and age, you used to be able to get away with that.
Easter eggs.
They're
like,
just Easter eggs on the world stage.
They used to talk about, like, if you go watch movies from yesteryear and you see an actor in a role like reading a newspaper, a lot of times the articles that are written in in the newspaper are just fluff. They don't actually mean anything. They just take it from other places because the technology didn't exist at that time to pause it and actually be able to read what it is. Now you go back through, like when they make movies now, second unit has to like write fake articles for whole newspapers because autistic people are going to pause it and be like, that's not what this is about. This is about somebody else. And
zooming in on copy money too.
It's one of my favorite Cinema Sins bits where they just like, it'll say like 3 dead, but it's actually about the Balkans.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I paused it when I was watching The Gray Man. I'm like, why would you actually have the word copy money in the shot? It's not even a wide shot. It's an insert shot. It's meant to be looked at close, and his hand, his like finger goes around the copy and the money. I'm like, have him grasp it.
Can't you just put a real bill over the top of the stack?
I mean, you could, but I don't know if they would bother to do that. Every penny has to be accounted for.
Guys, let us know in the poll today. We asked you if you think that Jim Carrey is playing Joe Biden. For now, we're at majority saying yes.
Somebody mentioned James Cromwell. He's played the president multiple times. I just watched Sum of All Fears recently.
Also, W.
Yes. Yep. And I think his dad played a president too, or
did you say James Woods did as well?
James
Cromwell. No, you said James Woods played a Secret Service agent
in White House. I think he's, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I've watched White House Down. I think he plays a corrupt Secret Service agent. So again, predictive programming. I don't know. You'll have to let me know, guys.
Yeah.
But,
brain rot or predictive programming? Let us know in the poll.
It's fun if it's more fun if it's brain rot.
This is why I like to believe certain conspiracy theories, because the more entertaining outcome is the likeliest.
58% so far say yes.
Yeah.
That it is Jim Carrey.
I'm on their side.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Andrew Jacobs said, "Hi, Queen and King. Brett, thoughts on Chicago PD?"
I loved those first couple of seasons of it when I thought it was actually going to be about like just a corrupt cop, and it turned out he was like corrupt but for good reason, and he was it just kind of became network fluff, and I never watched past season 2 or 3. But
network fluff is your thing.
I know, but network fluff in 2024 is not the same as it was in 2010. Yeah. There's this great opening scene where he just robs a drug dealer and keeps the money. I'm like, oh, that's kind of badass. He's just gonna rob the but then he gives the money to like the victim of a crime, which makes sense. It fits the story. But at that time, they were going for grittier stories. I think it's when Shades of Blue came out on like NBC with Jennifer Lopez. God help us all for that one. And it just it kind of turned it into just another network show, but I liked it. And I never watched I think I watched a couple of seasons of Chicago Fire as well. I was only marveling at that one because it seemed like it cost a lot of money to do a lot of those set pieces with like houses being burnt down and stuff like that. So
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Taco Tuesday, Brett, Mary, and Wesley. Are you feeling better after the incident, Wesley?" Can I ask what this is about?
About the skateboard.
Oh, okay.
You want to tell everybody what happened for those that are just tuning in?
Well, they could see for themselves over on Boonies HQ. You can watch a 2x4 be launched directly into my center region. And
sounds painful.
It was extremely entertaining for everyone that was there.
Anything for the content.
Yep. Well, no, I didn't know it was coming.
I will say back to the Chicago PD that it's worth watching just because Jason Beckey has one of the most iconic voices in Hollywood. He's just got this really iconic sound, and Elias Koteas is a great actor.
My old office before COVID was across the street from where the Chicago PT station was. It was actually an emergency room that they just CG'd over.
Okay.
That's funny. Shane H. Wilder said, "Brett over here making yo mama jokes, knowing we can't make them back. I mean, we could, but that would just be rude and mean-spirited."
I mean, I can take them.
Only Dane can do that. Only Dane has
You're
permission
allowed
to do that.
make.
He's a bro.
You're allowed to make yo mama jokes. I'm in the public eye, therefore you're allowed to make those jokes. I mean, if you want to be a bad person, you can do that. I don't know what it says about you,
but you can take it.
But you can do it.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, "Wesley, how were the balls? That looked horrible."
Thankfully, disaster was avoided.
Let's hold off on the let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back. Let's talk about what's going on with James Woods.
James Woods, a producer on Oppenheimer, recently spoke out about how power players in Hollywood told him to be invisible during promotion of the film due to the fact that he is a public Trump supporter. They mentioned his Twitter, they said. It was a problem for them. So let's take a look at the clip of his interview with Megyn Kelly from a few days ago.
There was a discussion about my Twitter, and it was gently suggested that I basically remain invisible. On the other hand, I'm a pragmatic person, and I thought a lot of people put their effort into this. So I'm just going to be an invisible pariah, because the people who are going to be voting for Oscars, which is very important for a film to get Oscars, because it does help with the financial reward and the historical archive in which it will rest forever. Academy Award winning Best Picture, Oppenheimer. I don't want to have some nutcase come out of the woodwork, fabricate some ridiculous story about me. I've had a million of them said, they're all lies. I don't want that to happen and have the clickbait story be, James Woods, the executive producer of Oppenheimer, we're not going to watch that movie. I wasn't even invited to the Producers Guild Award. I'm a producer on the picture, which is fine. Awards. By the way, when Oppenheimer came
so he was asked
there was
to
a discussion about
take one for the team, essentially, to allow Oppenheimer to not only have as big of a box office as possible, but also be considered for the awards.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked when we went into the movie and they were doing the opening credits and I saw his name there. It's because he bought the rights to the book that this script was based on.
Yeah, it doesn't seem fair, but at the same time, I feel like it would be hypocritical of us to say, you know, he shouldn't have to take a step back from his political statements, because we talk so often about how people on the left are way too outspoken about their political beliefs when they're marketing movies.
Well, that's the thing. They would not set
it has
aside
to be
their
a two-way
politics.
street, but it's not. So I don't know who acquiesces first.
What I think is funny about it is the more I thought about it, I was like, his pragmatism is smart and rational, and I honestly find it very endearing, and it's exactly why the right loses.
Well, yeah, only someone who is a Hollywood Trump supporter would have the emotional maturity to understand why they were asking him to be quiet for the time being and actually comply with that, because he cared about the marketing for the movie.
Because he actually cares about the art, right? What I was pointing out is like the leftists would never be asked to sacrifice, you know, sharing their political views in favor of the art, and they wouldn't do it anyways. If they want to talk about it, they will. Like, look at what Alan Richardson was doing after Reacher season 2 came out. They're like, I just imagine, I'm like, bro, like, read the room. Do you know who your audience is?
Yeah. Alan Richardson doesn't seem to understand what the Twisters director understands about appealing to a mass audience.
Correct.
But James Woods had to take one for the team. He also mentioned that a few years back, he was dropped by his acting agent over his political views. He tweeted out a screenshot of the email that his agent sent him. He called him a political liberal. The email says, "It's the 4th of July and I'm feeling patriotic. I don't want to represent you anymore. I mean, I could go on a rant, but you know what I'd say."
It's the most like wine mom thing on Facebook to say I've ever seen.
Even though it was a private communication.
Yes.
But then James Woods responded, "Dear Ken, I don't actually. I was thinking if you're feeling patriotic, you would appreciate free speech and one's right to think as an individual. Be that as it may, I want to thank you for all your hard work and devotion on my behalf. Be well."
Kill him with kindness, they say.
Yeah, is that really going to work though? Or is
No.
that, again, why we lose?
It is in a lot of ways. What's funny is like he mentions like he didn't want the clickbait headline. Look, they're going to write the clickbait article anyways. If you don't give them the fodder, they'll make up the fodder. They find a way to slander your name and to make you look bad anyways. I was shocked when this movie came out that there weren't more articles about, James Woods being a producer on it. But I guess that could be just because he kept his mouth shut and they didn't pay attention until later that's what happened, right? I'm picturing him at like the premiere and everybody walks out and like he kind of has to slink in last and they make him go to the premiere at the very end and he has to come in under cover of darkness because he has the temerity to vote for a different political party than the majority of the other ones.
You know who it would be that would boycott the premiere? Florence Pugh.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it would be. I mean,
Yep.
I don't buy that Nolan cares. Like, I don't. I don't think that's true. But yeah, it's just sad
Sources
that
say Nolan is not one of them.
Yeah. Well, again, can keeps his mind shut. I mean, he's weird enough in his own right? Like he's got plenty to be weird about. He doesn't need to be weird about politics.
Well, we just don't know who the younger stars are that possibly feel this way behind the scenes or have been asked to remain silent about their political views behind the scenes.
And it's an effective tactic because it makes you feel alone. Like if you see the world one way and it seems that nobody in the world shares those views, then you're going to be even more reticent to share them. And that's actually a really effective strategy to keep people from speaking up about it.
It's just funny that being kind of normal and attractive and taking care of your appearance and being good at business is immediately interpreted as a political act. Like those are the markers for a plausible Trump supporter in Hollywood, is someone who is just normal and
so
not
you're in
screeching
shape.
at you all the time.
It's,
But Alan Richardson knew that, and that's why he felt the need to clear the record and clear his name of all of these conservative allegations. And in doing so, drove away his base.
Also being religious.
And also, being religious and outspoken about being Christian leads some people to believe that he was right-wing, so he had to come out and counteract that narrative and way overdid it. You know what
it reminded me of? So yesterday, guys, I finally got around to watching Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I actually liked it. I liked it. I liked it. It was fine. Better than The Flash because it was shorter. I enjoyed it. And it reminded me that actress Michelle Borth, who played Mary, who played superhero Mary in the original one, did not come back for the sequel. And a lot of the speculation was she had the temerity to say that Ashley Babbitt shouldn't have died on January 6th. And people got very upset at that. I think her quote was more along the lines of like, what happened was wrong, but Ashley Babbitt, it was something like that. Yeah. She made sure to equivocate and say like, oh, it shouldn't have been an insurrection, but whatever. The point is she shared like one view that that was against what was acceptable at that time. And I don't know if that's the reason for why she didn't come back. What they ended up doing is using the actress who played the child version. She had aged out, so they had her play both roles, where she's both the superhero version and the child version. But, you know, is it hard? Does anyone believe that wouldn't happen? That we live in a industry that we see people working in industry where they wouldn't fire someone for views like that? They absolutely would.
This also reminds me of Letitia Wright's statement the other week, trying to distance herself from Daily Wire, who acquired distribution rights to the Sound of Hope movie. And she obviously, you know, being a producer on the movie, didn't know at the time who was going to acquire it. And felt the need to tell everyone publicly, like, don't associate me with these political people, please.
Just because I made
please
this movie
don't blacklist me.
Doesn't mean I watch Matt Walsh videos in my free time. Just leave me alone. Also, look, that movie, like the Shazam stars Zachary Levi, who's kind of it's kind of what I'm now deeming RFK Hollywood, which is like, if you don't want to be a Trump supporter, you don't have to be, but you can be you don't have to be like a Biden shill or a Harris shill.
Well, he used to be a conservative. He used to be like a very conservative Christian.
Okay, well,
and now he's renounced Christianity and conservatism.
Publicly, he has?
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. On Joe Rogan, he was like, I don't believe in a God or Jesus. I believe in the universe. And it's like,
okay.
So he's like a Buddhist. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. The point being that like you can be somebody in Hollywood that isn't necessarily like a shill for the Democratic Party. You just have to be a third party candidate. You can't be a Trump supporter.
You can watch Joe Rogan in Hollywood without getting blacklisted.
Oh, but just barely.
Just barely.
Just barely.
As long as you don't talk about it too much.
And I've had friends in the past who definitely see like if you watch Joe Rogan, you're basically like you're alt-right adjacent. Like that's definitely a way that certain people see the world.
Ladies, divorce your husband if he listens to the Joe Rogan Experience.
It's really funny because just so much of the Joe Rogan talks, it's like, what, you don't like him talking about you don't like your husband learning about aliens or
MMA
or MMA, like, which are things that guys
and
love
gorillas doing mushrooms.
Yeah,
it's the majority of it. I just I just this doesn't shock me, but the most important thing I think here is that the pragmatism winning out is a victory for the movie, but it will hurt them in the long run, and it sucks that it has to even be a problem, right? That
it would help him financially. It would help the artistic endeavor do well critically and financially, of course, but it's going to do the opposite for his political party.
It also proves that when it comes down to it, the movie makers probably don't care. They just want to make money, right? They're like, look, we want to make this movie. We don't agree with your politics and we think that it will harm the film, but we really want to make this movie. So could you keep it quiet? They're not saying you're the devil. If they thought he was the devil, they would just say they weren't going to make the movie. They would write it off and say, we're not making a movie about this particular movie about Oppenheimer because an alt-right Yahtzee, by their definition, is the one who owns the rights to it. If they cared about his ideology, they would have just cut bait.
If it weren't for Gina Carano, I might say that women in Hollywood get more leeway in this regard, because bringing it back to Letitia Wright, she voiced skeptical opinions about like vaccine mandates in the past. And I think that would have people, a lot of people put her in a certain box.
She's pretty vocally pro-life too.
I don't know. I haven't read her opinions about anything other than her vaccine comments, but you know, people would be likely to put her in a certain box based on just the few things that she has said about her opinions. And I think, you know, maybe if she were a male actor in Hollywood, she wouldn't have been granted the same leeway to continue playing Shuri in Black Panther.
Well, I think they were caught between a rock and a hard place there because of the death of Chadwick Boseman. I don't think they had the option to go any other direction because she was
maybe if that hadn't happened, she would have been axed.
Yeah.
Or just kind of quietly put on the shelf.
Who is more at risk for being pro-life in Hollywood, men or women? Like for being like ostracized for, or is it equal? Are they both ostracized?
Are there even any outspoken people in Hollywood who are pro-life who are really not even close to the B list? Is that even a thing?
I don't think you're allowed to be.
It's, I was just driving behind someone this morning who had, like, I swear, 12 bumper stickers that were just all about abortion. There was no other social issue that this person felt was as important to them as baby sacrifice. And it really activates people, especially in circles like that.
It's why I unfortunately don't think that Trump is going to win. As much as I want him to, I don't think he will.
Perhaps.
Just because I just think that the abortion issue has just become so. It's like this weird. It's taken over in a way that just wasn't before, and it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, let's go to Super Chats. Surenko Productions said, "Is Wesley trying to take over Timcast? He's been on Cast Castle, Boonies, Inverted World, Gamermates, and now PCC. What's next? Wesley on IRL tonight?"
No.
I would.
He's
love
also
to
got
see that.
I was a topic of conversation on our.
Also got great hair today.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Hair's killing
it. Tim called you a nutcase or something?
No, he just referenced my midsection getting hit with a 2x4, which was very strange.
Wrangler sent us 420 without a message. Thank you.
Lol.
LOL.
Let's do two more.
Jake Martin said, "Taylor, how can you express dismay for a tragedy when there's a literal genocide going on?"
It's literally going on.
She needs to say something. Yep. JTR11 said, "Bring back Iron Man as SGT Lincoln Osiris from Tropic Thunder and I'll watch it."
Yes, that's what they should do.
They won't do that.
They won't do that.
DCNC said, "When's US gonna catch Australia in the medal tally?"
Oh, people are actually watching the Olympics. That's crazy.
I'm just watching basketball.
Just watching basketball? All right.
There's no part of it that interests me, honestly.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after the fact. Time to talk about GROPEola.
Yeah. Legendary director Francis Ford Coppola is at the center of a Me Too scandal right now, as extras on the film set of Megalopolis filmed him getting a little bit too touchy-feely with the female extras during what they called a bacchanalian nightclub scene. So we can see the video here where he is seen grabbing and kissing female extras on the set of Megalopolis. There are actually two different videos, but it's very clearly him. They seem to be taking it well, but according to inside sources, they complained about it afterwards.
It's because he's Italian.
Here he is. He's not creepy. He's just Italian. Listen to Chris Cuomo on this issue.
Was it Chris Cuomo?
I think it was Chris Cuomo who said, I'm just Italian.
Just imagine, what you guys also have to remember, guys, is because this is a movie, it's very likely there's no actual music playing and those people are just fake dancing.
Yeah.
Andrew Cuomo?
Was it? I thought it was Chris Cuomo who said that... No, Chris Cuomo said that he wanted to commit mass murder after he was fired by CNN, and he was like, I'm passionate because I'm Italian. So that it's an excuse that can be kind of used for a lot of things. But there was a lot to this. So first off, this movie has been getting unflattering coverage in the media for at least a year and a half now.
From the beginning.
And I don't know the whole history of it, but it sounds like this has been in a sort of level of production hell for 40 years. And there were rumors of peril on set, a ballooning budget, crew exodus, and chaos. And that's because Francis Ford Coppola is actually funding the entire thing himself. It has a $120 million budget that is all on his dime, and he's also paying for the marketing cost as well. He is the czar. He is in charge of everything, and if you want to make a complaint, he's the guy at the top. So if he does something that makes you uncomfortable on set, you don't have anyone to talk to about it.
There's the door.
It's basically the Mr. Beast game show all over again. But two sources told Variety that Francis Ford Coppola appeared to act with impunity on set. So because he's financing the entire thing, there were none of the traditional checks and balances in place. And this follows a bombshell report from The Guardian back in May this year that claimed the same thing, saying that he tried to kiss some topless and scantily clad female extras because he told them he was trying to get them in the mood. Another part of that report was that he was just smoking exorbitant amounts of weed. They said he would often just sit in his trailer for hours on end, wouldn't talk to anyone, was often smoking marijuana. Hours and hours would go by without anything being filmed. He's just vibing.
Who wouldn't want to kiss that guy?
He's vibing out. He's obviously paying for the whole thing, so it's on his dime if he wants to spend hours in his trailer smoking weed. And then saunters out to go feel up the female extras. That's on him.
Oh, I just, it's funny because it's the worst aspects of Hollywood that everyone's heard over the years. It almost sounds like a scene from a movie about, like a meta scene from a movie about Hollywood. Like, one thing that I've always appreciated is Hollywood is pretty good when they satirize themselves. They're pretty good at poking fun at the worst aspects of their character. Like,
but they always say it's them, it's not us.
Well, but like when they do a story about a director being a piece of shit, or a writer being annoying, or a producer being a bully, like they lean into it. The best satirization comes from people who really understand what they're making.
What you know.
Yes, exactly.
The scene in question was shot in February 2023 at a concert hall in Atlanta, and the call sheet says the actresses playing female partygoers were cleared for topless nudity, while others in the scene were cleared for scantily clad.
One of the things I used to like doing on IMDb is go look up the people who play extras, like in old television shows. I'm like, I wonder whatever happened to them. Like, is they still doing it? Is they still acting? And I'll go and like just randomly look up somebody who plays girl at bar number 2 in some old television show and see if they're still acting. Most of the time they still are, usually in like local theater and stuff.
Well, one of them might have been in this scene, and this is like what drove them away.
Yep.
One source who was on set during the nightclub scene estimated that about 200 people assembled, including background actors and crew, as Coppola started directing the scene. He kept leaping up to hug and kiss several women, often inadvertently inserting himself into the shot and ruining it, which one source said was unusual. I've worked with really important directors, and that behavior is uncommon. The most I've ever seen a director do is say something like, "High energy, guys." I've never seen anyone on set so much as touch an actor. The source said that after multiple takes, Francis Ford Coppola got on a microphone and announced in earshot of everyone in the room, "Sorry, if I come up to you and kiss you, just know it's solely for my pleasure."
Oh my God.
He knows he's doing it. A spokesperson for Coppola declined to comment on the videos. However, a source close to the filmmaker noted that despite the death of his wife in April, Megalopolis came in on time and on budget.
Wow. So is that what's happening here? Was this the processing of the death of his wife, and he's just gone off the deep end?
Like, he's in the depths of his grief, and he decided to to go kiss some female extras.
Guys, it goes without saying, hands to yourself unless otherwise given permission, right?
Unless you sold your winery to make a movie.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
It's funny because they got quotes from other people on the production who were trying to make it sound more innocent, but it didn't work.
Like what?
The executive producer on Megalopolis.
Yeah, of course. The guy who's got a financial stake in whether this does well is going to downplay it. Shocking.
An executive producer noted that there were 2 days we shot a celebratory club scene where Francis walked around set to establish the spirit of the scene by giving kind hugs and kisses on the cheek to the cast and background actors. It was his way to help inspire and establish the club atmosphere, which was so important for the film. I was never aware of any complaints of harassment or ill behavior during the course of the project.
It's I'm imagining him coming up, it's like an old mob movie, give him the kiss on each cheek, and he comes up to me, he's like, I am now going to attempt to give you a kiss on the cheek. Do I have permission? And they have to write out the form, right? Like
he's just going around with actual contracts, passing them out to everyone.
He's like, look, back in my day, we didn't have what are they called? Intimacy coordinators.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Crew members say they looked at each other uncomfortably as he kissed and embraced the background actors. But one source says no one publicly objected to his behavior or tried to stop it.
Well, shocking that nobody publicly pushed back on the guy who's funding the whole movie.
Right, and the fact that there is no studio or streamer who is behind this means there's no HR department. Or anything, no checks and balances. They said because Coppola funded it, there was no HR department to keep things in check. Who were they supposed to talk to? Complain to Coppola and report Coppola to himself?
He was reliably told that when you're rich and famous, they let you do it.
It's true. It's so true, and I say it all the time. But the 2 intimacy coordinators who worked on the film suspiciously weren't there that day.
He said they weren't on the call sheet.
They just weren't on the call sheet that day.
He took a pen and he crossed their names out and filled it in with whiteout.
Yeah, one of them said, I can't really speak to the reason why they chose to bring us in when they did or not when they didn't. And one production source says the days after the nightclub scene, senior crew members became concerned that video was circulating of Coppola kissing extras and reminded them that as part of their NDAs they had signed, they were not authorized to share footage of the behind the scenes work. But that didn't stop them because it's all over Twitter right now with millions of views.
It could be easily construed as a crime, right? He committed a crime. He advanced on them unwillingly, and no NDA covers criminal behavior.
But if you look at the video, you can see the background actress is just giggling and kind of squirming away, but she doesn't seem like she's traumatized by it.
Because she's trying to get away from him first. And
he's an old guy. He doesn't know the kind of legalistic HR intimacy coordinator culture that has developed around him in this industry. He doesn't know what's appropriate and what's not. It's like the Bill Murray controversy all over again.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. It's like he's basically senile. They actually consulted an intimacy coordinator who was not on this film to talk about how this was inappropriate. She said, in the intimacy coordination community, it is recommended that scenes with nudity involving extras have more than one intimacy coordinator on set. Overseeing and helping choreograph intimate action for so many people is not something that one intimacy coordinator can do alone.
It's like one intimacy coordinator for every 4 pair of titties.
You gotta, get the ratios right. Yeah. On the shoot day, the intimacy coordinators will help establish clear intimacy choreography with the supporting artists and coach intimate movement and check in on them. But that is not what happened. They just weren't called into set that day.
Still waiting to find out if there's ever going to be a male intimacy coordinator. My guess is no. But
every time they interview one of these people, it just happens to be a woman.
Will this end up being one of those ones where it's only allowed if you're a woman or maybe if it's a gay man?
I even doubt that it would be acceptable for a gay man to take the role, but they're basically glorified HR reps.
They're saying that men aren't capable of intimacy, and frankly, I find that just to be a little bit rude.
They're just there to make sure that no one writes a memoir. God forbid someone writes a memoir about what happened on set. That's why they exist. Yeah. And they have other jobs as well. But yeah, not a good look, especially with the eclectic cast. They have Adam Driver starring in it, and they also have Aubrey Plaza, Shia LaBeouf, John Voight, and Giancarlo Esposito.
It's a very eclectic cast of people.
And they're all going to be expected to answer for this.
Look, I wasn't there that day. I wasn't on the call sheet for the dreaded nightclub scene from hell.
Well, back in January 2023, when the reports were coming out about how there was chaos on set, I think Adam Driver was officially asked to record a video addressing the situation and saying, like, I've never had anything but positive experiences with Coppola. He's great. Put, like, everything is going fine. There's no relevance whatsoever to any of these reports. It's totally unfounded. And, you know, Coppola himself denied it as well. If they're on time and they're on budget, that's all he's concerned with.
Yeah.
He doesn't really care if you're comfortable.
See, I didn't think it was on budget. I thought this thing went drastically over budget.
Well, that's what the trades were saying at the time, but he's claiming otherwise. I guess we're not going to know yet.
He's like, look, I'm good at my job, all right?
He's like, it only goes over budget if I pay those bills.
Yes, exactly. He's walking around with like a FBI female body inspector shirt on.
I kind of love it. Like, I kind of feel bad because, you know, you can't say anything if this happens to you. He's in charge of the whole thing.
No, it is.
But
it's not good, and that's the problem,
it's par
right?
for the course. I know they're saying that this is an uncommon experience in Hollywood. I highly doubt that.
Yeah,
I think it's completely par for the course.
I don't.
And maybe this guy is just, you know, he was grandfathered in after the Me Too movement revolutionized everything, and he still hasn't really gotten up to date on all the new societal expectations.
Because he's not expected to live that long.
Yeah.
He's really old, right?
Time's a ticking. We got to make money off of this guy.
Maybe there is an element of truth that his wife died, and he's like, anything goes. I'm Catholic.
Well, actually, the timing doesn't match up there because she, I think they said she died in April this year. This happened before that.
Well,
So I don't know. It doesn't really line up.
Maybe he's just senile and he just doesn't know what's going on. And he thought it was her. Like he's like
he thought they were all her.
He's like, look.
She's like, hold on, honey, I have to go talk to my wife.
Yeah.
Eleanor.
Yeah.
Where are you?
You know she's got a name like Helen or.
No, her name is Eleanor.
Oh, it's Eleanor. Okay.
Or was, I suppose.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just this movie's, when does it due? Like, is it?
I think it's coming out.
Is it
sometime next week?
It found
or not next week, next year.
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was in distribution hell.
Yeah.
No, it got acquired by Lionsgate.
Okay.
But he's still responsible for the marketing costs and all that.
Lionsgate, distributor of The Chosen.
Well, they're gonna have questions to answer if I have anything to say about it. Like,
I don't know. Are you a fan of Francis Ford Coppola?
Not really. No.
You're not looking forward to this one?
No.
It's a political drama. That's all I know about it.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's not. He holds no reverence in my heart.
Okay.
Other than Apocalypse Now.
There you go.
The
There you go.
Godfather's great, but you know.
We'll have to have Colonel Kurtz on to talk about this when the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay, let's finish up with these super chats.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Outsiders is great.
Corey Anderson said, controversial take. England is for the English. We agree. Kid Galagos said, DEI will determine how Russo's movies will be.
We'll have to wait and see how that goes.
I mean, that's not really in their control.
Casting, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much say they're going to have, but theoretically, the cast should be already set, right? Because the majority of the actors outside of whoever plays alternate antagonists are going to be actors from previous films.
Well, the script isn't even written yet. They just hired the scriptwriter.
Yeah. The sad thing is like I almost feel like Deadpool is the only way to do Marvel right now because it's such self-saturation.
It's McFeely's writing it, right?
Yes. Yes. And again, having a name like McFeely in Hollywood is just...
Yeah. I think Marcus and McFeely are closet conservatives.
It's really funny. Okay, so hold on.
Why do you think that?
Because they wrote Winter Soldier, and that's like what's the word? Stealth conservatism.
In what way? How would you describe that?
That Civil War and Winter Soldier are like they just are. They're like the most anti-authority, anti-government.
But Winter Soldier is my favorite Marvel movie of all time. I was just looking for an explanation.
It's very anti-three-letter agency.
Yes.
Like it's very on the nose. didn't make something up when they talked about like how to turn a population against itself and like Operation Paperclip. It's all real.
Yeah. Oh, that's it's and basically saying that I mean, I don't know if I think that these days. Do you think that the population is looking for the savior? I think a lot of it is these days. Like at least from a leftist point of view, is they're looking for the government to be the savior for these problems. And the point
is very anti-security state.
Cap is like, he's like, look, I can't just stand by and not act when I feel compelled to do so. And I mean, there was great arguments to be made, like that in Civil War, particularly, that they did a good job of attempting to steelman both sides of the argument as to why Tony Stark believed that,
which is not a quality you find in most liberal writers.
No, so like they steelman the arguments that like Captain America's like, I can't stand by and just watch something happen if I have the ability to fix it. And Tony's like, look, we just like burned a city to the ground and a bunch of people died. Maybe we should slow down and maybe like checks and balances are a good thing. And they don't treat either argument as inherently bad.
No.
I did want to point that I did laugh at this because I was looking at the dudes who wrote when I was looking at Endgame. These guys, both Christopher Marcus here, it's what happens when you take a picture in the same place at the same day. Christopher Marcus and McFeely, they look like they're like brothers who like were shot.
That's the most director outfit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
White backwards hat with the t-shirt under the blazer and the sunglasses. I've never seen anything like it.
But they didn't get the other guy back, though, right? They only got McFeely back. They didn't get Christopher Marcus back.
Francis Ford McFeely. Brian Bledsoe said Star-Lord, Thor, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Fantastic Four, Hulk, and possibly Deadpool and Wolverine, and other X-Men that haven't debuted yet seem like a good lineup against an RDJ Doctor Doom.
Well, we'll see if these movies are set for 26 and 27, right? So they only got a couple of years to do that. Like they don't have the time to debut all those characters, and then you fall into DC territory where you try to debut a bunch of characters all at once.
Why would they have to debut them? They've all been part of it.
Well, no, he's saying X-Men. Like, are we talking new X-Men? We're talking Fantastic Four, which haven't debuted yet because they've recast them.
They're coming out next year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he wrote. So the guy. So Marcus wrote The Gray Man. So that's a mark against him right there to Mary. I thought Gray Man was a perfectly serviceable.
It was dreadfully boring.
Would have been awful at a theater, but was fine on Netflix.
Dreadfully boring.
Yeah.
Is that the one with? Like,
he did Pain and Gain.
Mustache.
Yes.
Evans?
Yeah. He did Pain and Gain, and Pain and Gain rules.
I thought that movie was okay. I thought the drone stuff was a little.
Corey Anderson said, Myra, what is it like being attractive? Not as easy as it looks. Belvedere, what is it like being short? Do you have an answer for this? What's it like?
What you do is you find the cheapest like stepladder you can, and then you carry it with you everywhere you go.
The key is confidence.
Though recently, again, for the second time in my life, somebody asked me to get something off a shelf at a store, and I spent you know that saying when they're like a guy, one compliment can sustain him for like a year.
Yeah.
Being asked to get something off a high shelf for someone, I'm good for like 5 years.
That added 5 years to your life.
It did
actually.
easily.
Westerly, what is it like to have good hair?
What?
Westerly is your name. They give us names.
Thanks. What is it like?
People treat you different because you have great hair.
I'm waiting for somebody to do that. I was not aware of the fact that I had great hair, but thank you.
He said great hair.
Great hair, yeah.
Yeah, not gray.
I want to go back to the previous one. I was focusing.
He said
on
I
this.
already know what it's like to be old and unattractive. LOL.
It goes back to what Mary said. Confidence is key. You can be old and still be confident.
Like Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah. I mean, just don't take it to its logical conclusion there. But I want to go back to the one from Brian Bledsoe. Star-Lord, is Star-Lord coming back? I want to go back to this because I was like reading through this before. I didn't give this one a fair answer. Is Star-Lord coming back? I don't think Star-Lord is coming back.
Is he not?
Is Chris Pratt after Guardians 3? Are they?
Well, this is just like dream casting.
Thor, yes, they'll have Thor. I think Spider-Man will end up being the most important of the protagonists. I think that they will back up the money truck again to Tom Holland for that. Doctor Strange, yeah, I mean his stock took a bit of a hit because Multiverse of Madness wasn't really taken as well as people wanted it to. Fantastic Four, I don't give a crap about Hulk. That's me personally. Plus, we're gonna get Red Hulk and Deadpool and Wolverine again till you're 90. Wolverine.
Till you're 90.
Yeah.
It's one of the
Like
funniest jokes
if
in the
I
movie.
was Hugh, I mean, didn't he make a joke in there about coming back and then saying he didn't want to? Like, if I was him, like, if I'm Hugh Jackman, I'm not coming back for a team up movie.
Wait, who was playing the Fantastic
If I
Four
were
again?
Hugh Jackman, I would only come back for a team up
Yeah.
movie.
Pedro Pascal.
Way less screen time, yeah.
Pedro Pascal. Who else is it in Fantastic Four?
Oh my goodness,
That
Vanessa
chick
Kirby.
who was in
Vanessa
yeah,
Kirby?
Vanessa
Big fan.
Kirby.
Big fan.
Who else?
Joseph Quinn.
Okay, yes.
And Eben Bachrach
Moss. Yes. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
great.
They posted a selfie together and everyone was calling them ugly. And then one person was mad that only one of the Fantastic Four is female.
I mean, at least they haven't made them the X people yet. We'll have to.
Yeah.
Eben Moss Bachrach is one of those actors that I really, really like, and he is kind of a. We were talking last night about a couple of actors who have like weathered faces. Like, it's not a bad thing, but it's just it's a trait of certain actors that they just have a weathered look about them, and that's what we were talking about. Peter Gallagher. He has a weathered face.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And Eben Moss Bachrach is he's got a very unique look to him. I think the Fantastic Four casting's fine. I just don't care.
Ed Harris has a weapon.
Yes, he does. He does. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Shane H. Wilder said Mary pulling the Austin Powers lines. Nice.
I mean, a lot of times people don't care. Like in Hollywood, it's not just about being conventionally attractive. It's about having what they consider an interesting image on screen. Like, they want you to be memorable as much as they want you to be like conventionally attractive is for Chris Evans.
Yeah, I don't
Jim
mean this to
Caviezel
be
even has
like
a weathered face of sorts.
It's not insulting. I don't mean it that way, but Ayo Edebiri has that.
A unique face.
Yeah.
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 Who?
What has
From
she
The
been
Bear.
in that you would see? The Bear. She was also in Bottoms.
I'm
Don't
sure
know
that
if
was
you're into
high
that
on
kind
your
of thing.
replay. I'm sure you got high replay value on that one.
But yeah, Austin Powers is definitely on the Mary recommends list if such a thing could exist.
Guys, let's get to the second crisis party, huh? Come on.
200 Watt Studio said Truman was president and Biden was a president.
There you go.
That's so true. He also said Jim Carrey played Truman and Biden too.
There you go.
It's all coming together.
It's all being exposed.
All the pieces.
Where we go one. What did I say? I said, where we go one, we go to the mall.
Award-winning blank said Joe is as senile as I am an award winner.
So very senile.
Yes,
then, 'cause
verifiably.
You are very much an award winner.
Shane H. Wilder said Mel Gibson, Jim Caviezel, and Jonathan Roumie are the only 3 pro-life Hollywood celebs I can think of. I wonder why.
There's an interesting story that I remember about Jim Caviezel where he had a friend that was pro-choice, and he made a bet with Jim Caviezel that if he adopted children from Africa or from another country, that he would change his opinion, because they always say, like, if you're pro-life, why don't you adopt? The standard argument that they make. He did it. He adopted, I believe, 2 or 3 children, and the guy didn't change his views. So, shocking.
Okay, so I'm looking at pro-life celebrities, and the list has some surprises. Jack Nicholson.
I don't know if I bought it.
It says Jack Nicholson's pro-life stance stems from not being aborted when his teenage mom found out she was pregnant with him.
Okay.
He explained how she was pressured to have an abortion but chose not to. He said, I'm very contra my constituency in terms of abortion because I'm positively against it. I don't have the right to any other view. My only emotion is gratitude, literally, for my life. That's sweet.
Yeah.
Jason Reitman, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
This also has Kelsey Grammer, but I think I already knew that.
That makes sense. If you guys never
Martin
got to see,
Sheen?
If you guys want to see a show that was pretty good at the beginning and never got to live up to what it could have been, there was a Kelsey Grammer show called Boss. That was so awesome. And never got a chance. Him and Kathleen Robertson in that show. She's another one. She has like the sharpest features you've ever seen. Yeah. In an like the definition of sharp features. Look up a picture of her. Man, that show could have been so much more.
Celine Dion is also on this list.
Yeah, we'll stay forever.
Nick
this way.
Cannon, we already knew that. Mel Gibson.
I mean, I don't know if he's pro-life, but he's definitely not a fan of pulling out. That's for sure.
Kirk Cameron, of course.
Yep.
Nicole Scherzinger, Jim Caviezel, Justin Bieber.
Is he really?
He said in 2011, I really don't believe in abortion. It's like killing a baby. You don't say.
It's kind of like when
an appropriate comparison.
When you need like a toddler to explain something to you in the simplest of terms.
Yeah.
It's like, but why would you do that? You're killing a small child.
Yeah, there aren't a lot here. Chuck Norris.
Yeah, that
is
makes
on
sense.
Here. Candace Cameron Bure, not surprising. Ashton Kutcher, interesting. I didn't know that. Potatoes for Seamus said, when do we get Cass Castle back?
I addressed this.
Okay, we're not answering this.
You'll have to check his frequently asked questions
Go
page.
rewind the show to that part. He also said, Wesley, so glad to see you back. We missed you.
No, glad to see you too.
Out of all the political adjacent issues to have to be open about, abortion for a guy would be just the one. Like literally anything else they'll tell you. Look, if you want to talk about immigration being bad, you can do that. Just anything but abortion for some reason.
Yeah, there's no wiggle room on that one.
There isn't. There's wiggle room in some of the other issues if you're crafty about it and you're not over the top. It sucks that it has to be that way, but you are a lot of times the statements that you make, but there is no leeway on those statements. Jack Nicholson's the only one who gets to make a statement there where they're like, it's his lived experience. So,
I remember someone told us that he knew a certain female celebrity who is pro-life behind the scenes, but openly pretends to be pro-choice because she just knows that she would get too much hate, too much backlash for speaking out on that.
It's funny,
probably not uncommon.
Yeah, it's probably not uncommon at all.
It's sad because effectively then you are pro-choice because
you're influencing so many people.
Is pro-life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a Nikki Haley guy or whatever his shirt
Isn't he the
said.
definition of like a California
neocon
conservative? Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, is McFeely related to Coppola? I'll get my coat and see myself out.
McFeely. What if McFeely had written that movie? That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
He wrote
Perfect crossover.
He wrote that scene.
It's nominal determinism at its finest. Potatoes for Seamus said, we want Wesley to play Ron Paul in a biopic. Would that work?
Okay.
There you go. That'd be good.
Shane H. Wilder, damn it, Mary, stop stealing my jokes.
Which one did you steal?
Then he said, where we go we go to the mall.
It was I was making fun of something at one point. It was, it's the QAnon phrase. But I was, it was a joke.
Stefan Buttle said, money for the pizza party, no cheese.
Well, we're getting there. I want a pizza
No
party.
cheese.
I had to get up early for an appointment today, so now I think I actually am going to get pizza tonight.
Nice.
Treat yourself.
You deserve it.
I earned it. I deserve this. I drank enough water today, guys. I earned this.
Pop Culture Junkie said, I have a lawyer friend who was aware of the Lionsgate Megalopolis deal with Coppola, who's still paying for $20 million marketing costs. My friend said the contract structure is very strange.
Well, nobody loves finicky contracts more than Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Pat the Plumber said money for toppings.
I'm so hungry now.
Now we can get green olives.
Yes.
On pizza.
Yes. I understand that I'm the only one in the world who likes pepperoni and green olive pizza, but
I don't mind it.
I
just don't get the hate.
Then I get more made fun of because I also get I have one place where I get cheese pizza from. Just one place. Everywhere else I get pepperoni and green olives if available. And they're like, you eat cheese pizza? I'm like, well, if you do something a quarter of the time, does that make you entirely that? I don't think so. But go ahead and be Judgy McJudgerson.
You know my pizza order, not my story.
Yeah, you don't know me.
Shane H. Wilder said Jack Nicholson was also raised by his grandma and thought his mother was his sister until he was a teenager.
Well, that could happen to anyone.
What? That's crazy.
I feel like I've seen that story in a movie before.
I feel like I have too.
My Life a Movie.
Who was it? Oh, there actually was. Nope, that's something else. But I feel like I've seen that before in a movie or a television show.
Omega Red Fan said, LOL, another good one, guys. Great show.
Well, thank you.
What, it's a surprise that it was a great show?
I mean,
you don't expect that quality from us?
Mary knows that there are days when we go into the show where I take a more pessimistic view of things. And usually those are the days that end up going, if you go in with high expectations, if there's days where I'm I really like these topics, I got a lot to say, usually they end up feeling
Then when you go in with low expectations, you surprise yourself.
Yeah. If I was to give everyone advice, it's set the bar unbelievably low.
Set the bar in hell.
Yeah. You'll always end up somewhere near ground level.
High Voltage 75 said, wait, Wes, so you liked Apocalypse Now and The Outsiders. What about The Godfather?
I said I liked The Godfather.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? I didn't hear you say
So
it.
The Godfather's good, but
Okay.
But I don't revere him in that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially lately.
Do you have
like
a
Neon
favorite
Demon.
director?
That's tough.
Do you want to tell everybody how much you love The Last Jedi?
Yeah. I do
Let's
like
get
Rian
into that
Johnson.
again.
A favorite director? Favorite directors?
Taika Waititi.
Yes, Taika Waititi. No, I really like. Here we go. But I really like old Woody Allen.
Okay. Rian Johnson.
Yeah, Rian Johnson. I do like Rian Johnson's movies for the most part. Like Brothers Bloom's great. Yeah, it's Denis Villeneuve hasn't missed for me.
I recently rewatched Sicario again. It's so good. I don't even hate the second one. I don't think
David
it
Fincher.
David Fincher. The Killer last year. Was that 2 years ago now?
That was
it was last year.
Yeah.
That was
Sam Mendes, usually pretty good.
The thing I loved about The Killer was like it was one of those times where like if you go into a movie and it doesn't give you what you're expecting, sometimes that can weigh on you through the whole movie and it ruins the viewing experience. It took about 20 minutes to realize you weren't going to get the movie that you thought you were going to, and it was still really good.
Yeah.
So
High Voltage 75, sorry, Shane H. Wilder said, last time Wes was on was episode 500, close to Christmas.
That long ago?
Wow.
Wow.
I'll have to come back.
Good to have you back.
Wow.
Everybody has abandoned us.
Yeah.
We're stuck over here.
We're put upon. Shane H. Wilder.
It's so difficult being a podcaster, man. This job, it's just so difficult. How do we do it every day?
A podcaster is not an island, Brett.
I know.
Shane H. Wilder said it was the Francis Ford McFeely joke. Oh,
No.
Sorry about that. It's the Community joke.
All right.
Are we all caught up?
Yep. I mean, I was hoping we'd get to the second crisis party. I even brought up Wesley loving The Last Jedi. It didn't work. Usually that one works.
Currently about $40 away from our second crisis party, if anyone wants to pull through.
Getting there. All right. Guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video? Oh, we got 5 minutes.
Rally the troops.
Do we hold on? Look, it's like people don't like it when we end the show early. They don't like that. They get very upset when you end the show at 1 hour and 57 minutes or 1 hour and 58 minutes or 1 hour and 59 minutes. They say you got to go to 2 hours. So I could either A, do the NPR outro and just talk like this to the end, or we can keep going. But the super chats are through. But now I was just waiting to see. Oh, Rebel Moon proves Zack Snyder sucks solo. Yes, that is. I didn't watch Rebel Moon, but I mean, most people don't like Zack Snyder anyways, right? Like, other than Snyder super fans. He's one of those people that doesn't really have any. Like, there's nobody who's like casually a Zack Snyder fan.
Zack Snyder's one of those people like Michael Bay, who I think would have been a great producer. Well, and J.J. Abrams as well. Yes, you got good ideas, but captaining this ship, maybe not the best.
Someone reminded you to close the poll.
I love Michael Bay as a director and as a producer.
What are the results?
We are ending the poll, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. 58% of you say that, yes, Joe Biden is actually Jim Carrey in disguise. It has been decided.
Yeah, I'm going to stay faithful to the results of this election.
Now I want like somebody to make a really fun Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with like Joe Biden clips.
They should do that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they should do that.
They're trying to make it illegal.
I forgot who America is.
Yeah, I saw. What did you think about that? Did you think that clip was clearly marked parody enough to the one of Kamala Harris?
I mean, I guess laws are made for stupid people.
Yes.
So it makes sense theoretically. But, you know, if people think that's the extent of what AI is going to do to meme culture and just our sense of reality in general, they have no idea what's coming.
Ian took a pretty hardline stance that was a problem. I saw it on Twitter or something.
The AI stuff?
The AI stuff, yeah.
But who knows? He might change his mind a week later.
Well,
completely to the opposite.
He's open to being convinced.
Stefan Buttle said party. We want a party. I just don't think we're going to make it there, guys.
It's okay. Sadly. All right. I was hoping to see that somebody was going to say more about Snyder. I watched
one more from Shane H. Wilder. One last note: when you do the Olympic story on Friday, don't show the video. NBC is copy striking people for using it, myself included.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wow, even if it's like in a tweet without the sound
Doesn't
or
matter.
something like that?
The visuals can get you copyrighted too.
That's
we've had segments like where like even like something like this, you see how like when the article shows up on screen and there's a video, sometimes we'll put up like Newsweek.
Well, don't risk it now.
Well, it's not going to happen there. But like if you have Newsweek open on screen, you'll get copyrighted for the videos that are, because a lot of times they'll like leave a trailer playing in the background, and then I'm like, we didn't watch that. What? And then I realized that it was in the background of an article. It's awful. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel, please, if you have not done so already. We have passed 128,000 subscribers, so we are growing still. Thank you guys all so much for that. And Wesley, thank you.
It was my pleasure.
Where
Happy to be back. What was that?
Where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube at the Boonies HQ or the Boonies HQ on Instagram. That is where I am spending my time these days.
Perfect.
Great. You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, we got one more here from Pat the Plumber.
Thank you for the 20. He said post-credit scene, please.
I mean, I don't know if that does that. I don't think that gives us the crisis
I don't think
party.
we're at the party yet, guys. Still not there.
So I don't. We can wait and see, but I don't think
Close.
that's gonna get us the party. So yeah. And one more there from Andrew Yu. That does
okay.
look like it
I
will.
see.
Hold, please. Go for it.
He said, didn't have my card on me and only had $1 and some change. McDonald's only had a water for 67 cents. Taco had their happy hour drink for $1.07. But Wendy's came in clutch with the manager discounting a combo for $1.
Wendy's all the way. I will not take the Wendy's slander that I sometimes hear around these parts. I love Wendy's.
I mean, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I just don't go there.
Need to go there more. Also, I never go to McDonald's, and I went to McDonald's today after my appointment. Like I said, I earned
treating
it.
yourself.
I treated myself to
McDonald's and pizza in one day.
Well, it was
It's the 90s.
I had a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, and I asked for a water, and they gave me like a huge cup of water for free. So I don't know why they didn't give you the water for free.
We got a couple more. Andrew Yu said, was going to be a doomer post about the economy, but it became more positive at my last stop regarding dollar snack.
Good.
Dollar menus are a thing of the past.
They are very sadly a thing of the
Stefan
past.
Buttle said party.
We will
we've definitely got a second crisis party.
We will get the post-credit scene, guys. Mary, did you do your outro or am
I did.
Okay, all right. Hey, I'm trying to
keep up, old man.
Look, guys don't multitask as well as women. I was reliably told that by the mainstream media at one point. Guys, if you would like to follow me, I am on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you prefer to listen rather than watch. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook and not TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Crisis Party. There it is.
Is that organic?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No post-credit scene needed. Wesley's not dancing, and frankly, I'm insulted.
Okay, get into it.
With that being said, guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Later, everyone.